Good morning. Today is the first instillment from Gremio Del Segundo Lunes. Gremio Del Segundo Lunes. The Guild of the Second Monday. God built the world and all of its wonders in 6 days, took a day of rest, and on that day we also rested. Today is Monday. It's our turn again to right some of these wrongs. I was speaking with a gentleman the other day, and he was holding a sign saying, "Save the Dolphins! Save the Dolphins! We have to save these dolphins." And I said, "Well, what are you trying to do?" And he said, "I'm starting a GoFundMe to generate money to help fight for the dolphins." I said, "Well, what do you need the money for? Is it for lobbyists?" He said, "Hell no. Why would I generate money to extort myself? The government shouldn't need funding directly to representatives that we have elected in order to do their bidding. They're supposed to do our bidding. That's their job. Why would I pay them more?" I said, "Well, then what is it about?" He said, "Well, I can tell you what it's not about. It's not about the water. It's not about the contamination and the pollution from PFAS, all these chemical companies that are creating genetic mutations, cancers, all kinds of disease in humans already, and causing sexual reproduction problems in all kinds of animals, and the extension of that is the trouble that humans are having breeding deformities, mutations, and even this kind of spurred something in me. I was like, well, that must mean, like even the gender dysphoria and things like that. Like these are hormone replacement. We're doing basically mass hormone replacement across the world because this is in our water, it's in our soil. And they keep telling us that there's really no problem, all of that. So is it about the farming? What are you trying to fix? And he said, "No, it's not about the farming and all the runoff." And he said, the whole cow fart thing being a problem. He said that didn't stem from that. It stemmed from these cattle farms and these mega farms, feedlots that are under one roof. He said that one cow on a feedlot produces 42 times the feces that a human does. And I've worked at a cattle barn in Minnesota that had over 7,000 head under one roof. That's the amount of fecal matter from a town of 300,000. And they had multiple barns, and that's not including other companies that have barns. That's not including the pigs, the chickens. So it's not about that. So all of that has been widely known for a very long time. They've been trying to get help to fight the PFAS and things like that since the 70s, 80s. So this is about the dolphins, them little fishies. This is about Florida. So what do you mean? So this is about all those kids that were involved in Epstein's sex rings. That don't have a leg to stand on. This is about all of the officials that are being extorted and blackmailed into doing the bidding of tyrants. How can we have lists that aren't public? How can we know that our officials are corrupt and harming us for money or for their lives, and we do nothing about it? So you're right. It's sick. And how can we not care about our children, whether it's their water, their food, so many different things. They're proclamations of war, but we won't even protect ones against being sexually abused by our elites. So that's what the money's for. The money is to help fund the lawyers and the background that we need to come together. Like there are hundreds of thousands of kids that have walked through these doors and they feel alone. And a lot of them are adults now. There are probably grandparents that were affected by this. How do we get all of these people to stand together to show what kind of a, a real issue this is? We will happily send a rapist or a murderer to jail and have no withholdings on if they're beaten or even murdered themselves. But when we know that there are people doing this on a level that affects millions of people, we don't do anything. Instead, we look to them for the answers. So this money would be to give a soft spot for these people to land if they are in need of money or anything in order to get their word out. We need to get them on paper and just create lists and lists of our own. Even though they already have the list, they already have the videotapes, they already have all of the blackmail, they won't give it to us. So we need to make our own lists. And how do we alleviate the stress and the shame from these once children to come out and say it? We don't need them publicly until the lists are made. And there are plenty of police and investigators and lawyers that have worked on these issues for decades. Employ them. Let's get these lists together. Let's get these people held accountable. Let's save the Dolphins.